She's sitting at the kitchen table at 11:47 p.m., 43 years old. And in front of her, spread out like evidence at a crime scene, are bank statements, credit card bills, and a retirement account with $4,200 in it. $4,200. After 2 decades of working, after 2 decades of doing everything she was told to do, go to school, get the job, pay your bills, be responsible. And in that moment, that exact moment right there, something shifted inside her. Not panic, not tears. She was done with tears. Something colder, sharper. A decision. I will not be broke at 50. Her name is Sandra, and 5 years later, 5 years, she had paid off $67,000 in debt, built a $180,000 investment portfolio from scratch, and walked away from her 9-to-5 with enough passive income to cover her mortgage every single month. No inheritance, no lucky break, no crypto miracle. Just a blueprint, and the nerve to actually follow it. And y'all, that blueprint is exactly what we are getting into today. Here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. If you're watching this video at 35, 40, 45, or even 52 years old, and you feel behind, I need you to hear this clearly. You are not too late. Not even close. In fact, and I know this sounds wild, starting your wealth journey after 40 might actually be the greatest advantage you've never been told about. And we're going to talk about exactly why that is. By the time this video is over, you are going to understand the exact financial moves that late starters use to close a 20-year wealth gap in under a decade. You're going to understand why the traditional retirement advice you've been given is designed for people who started at 22, and why it will actually hurt you if you try to follow it now. And you're going to walk away with a real, specific, executable blueprint. Not theory, not inspiration porn, a blueprint. We'll get to that in a moment, but first you need to understand this. The reason most people never build wealth after 40 has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with one single belief that is running silently in the background of almost every financial decision you make. There is a story that millions of people over 40 carry around with them every single day. It goes like this. I've already wasted my best years. The people who are going to make it, they started in their 20s. They had time on their side. They had no kids, no debt, no responsibilities. I had my chance and I didn't take it. Now it's too late to build real wealth. The best I can do is survive. Real talk. Have you heard that voice? Because that voice, that specific, quiet, absolutely relentless voice, is the most expensive belief a person can hold. It doesn't cost you money today. It costs you the decision to even try. And here's what makes it so dangerous. Unlike obvious self-sabotage, like gambling your savings or ignoring a bill, this belief is invisible. It's polite. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like wisdom. It sounds like you're just being realistic. But it is not wisdom. It is a lie dressed up as experience. Let me prove it to you with a number. The average millionaire in the United States doesn't reach their first $1 million until age 49. Let that sink in. 49. Not 28, not some 25-year-old tech bro. The average American millionaire is almost 50 years old when they hit their first million. So the story that 40 is too late is not just wrong, it is the exact opposite of the truth. But here's what nobody is asking. If most millionaires don't reach their first million until their late 40s, why are we still telling people to start at 22 or give up forever? Because the financial advice industry was not built for late starters. It was built for people with 40-year runways. And if you try to follow a 40-year plan with a 15-year window, you won't just fall short. You'll follow the wrong path entirely. We'll get to that in a moment, but first you need to understand this. There are 3 phases every late starter goes through. The people who succeed move through all 3. The people who stay broke forever get stuck in phase 1. Phase 1, the paralysis phase. This is where most people over 40 live permanently. They know they need to change, they feel the urgency, they read the articles, they watch the videos, they think about it constantly. But they don't move. Why? Because they are trying to solve the wrong problem. In the paralysis phase, people spend all of their mental energy asking, how do I make up for lost time? And that question has no good answer. Because you can't make up for lost time. Time is gone. But you can absolutely, completely, dramatically compress your timeline. And that is an entirely different question with an entirely different answer. This is where the blueprint actually begins. And I want you to pay attention here, because everything I'm about to tell you runs counter to the standard financial advice you have heard your entire life. When you are 25 and you have 40 years until retirement, slow and steady wins the race. Max out your 401k, invest in index funds, let compound interest do the work. That advice is genuinely solid for a 25-year-old. But you are not 25 and you don't have 40 years. First truth of the late starter blueprint. You cannot save your way to wealth. You must earn your way there first. Let that land. Saving money is not your primary weapon anymore. It's important, we'll talk about it, but savings rates that would build wealth over 40 years will not close your gap in 15. The math simply doesn't work. If you are 42 years old with almost nothing saved, and you save $500 a month religiously, do you know what you will have at 65? About $285,000. That sounds like a lot, until you realize that financial planners say you need roughly 25 times your annual expenses saved to retire comfortably. If you spend $50,000 a year, you need $1.25 million. $285,000 gets you about 5.5 years of retirement income. You are not retiring. You are delaying the crisis. So what does the acceleration phase actually look like? It has 3 simultaneous tracks, and the key word is simultaneous. You work all 3 at the same time, not one after another. This is non-negotiable. If you are a late starter, your number 1 financial priority, above debt payoff, above savings, above investing, is increasing your income. Because here's what they don't tell you. A 40-something has something a 22-year-old doesn't. Experience, skills, a network, real-world credibility. These things are worth money, serious money. And most people over 40 have never once tried to actually monetize what they know. Sandra was a project manager, 20 years of experience. Within 14 months of starting freelance consulting on weekends, she had added $2,800 per month in income on top of her salary. No new degree, no startup capital, no risk, just packaging what she already knew. Not debt elimination, debt architecture. There is a massive difference. People in the paralysis phase think they need to eliminate all debt before they can start building wealth. This belief will cost you years. Not all debt is the same. High-interest consumer debt, credit cards, personal loans at 18 to 26%, yes, that needs to go, fast, aggressively. It is a wealth leak you cannot afford. But low-interest debt, a mortgage at 4%, a student loan at 5%, that debt does not need to be eliminated before you invest. The math says so. If you can earn 8 to 10% in a diversified investment portfolio and your debt is costing you 5%, paying that debt off early instead of investing is actually costing you 3 to 5% per year. You are losing money by being responsible. Sandra had $67,000 in debt, but $41,000 was her mortgage and a low-rate student loan. She attacked only the $26,000 in high-interest debt, destroyed it in 18 months, and immediately redirected every dollar into investments. That decision alone was worth tens of thousands of dollars. This one is low-key the most important of all three. Late starters who build wealth go through a fundamental change in how they see themselves. They stop seeing themselves as someone who is trying to fix their finances, and they start seeing themselves as someone who builds wealth. That shift, which sounds identical on the surface, produces completely different actions, completely different risks you're willing to take, completely different opportunities you're willing to see. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, you need to understand this. Two people can follow the exact same financial strategy, same income, same debt, same starting point, and one builds wealth while the other stays stuck. The difference is identity. Here's the thing about compound interest that nobody explains properly. It doesn't work linearly. It works exponentially. Which means the first few years feel like almost nothing is happening, and then suddenly it accelerates. Fast. Sandra invested $800 a month for the first 2 years. Portfolio, $22,000. Years 3 to 4 jumped to $61,000. Year 5 at $1,400 per month, portfolio crossed $180,000. Same strategy, same consistency, just the math doing what math does. But here's where late starters have a specific advantage that nobody talks about. Catch-up contributions. If you are 50 or older, the IRS allows you to put an extra $7,500 per year into your 401k, beyond the standard limit, specifically because they know you are behind. No cap. The system is literally set up to help you catch up. Most people over 50 have never used this. The late starter investment stack. First, employer 401k match. Contribute at least enough to get the full match. This is the closest thing to free money in the legal financial world. Second, high-yield savings account for your emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses. Liquid, accessible, not in the market. Third, Roth IRA or traditional IRA maxed out. $7,000 per year under 50, $8,000 per year at 50 plus. Roth grows completely tax-free. Fourth, taxable brokerage account. No contribution limits, full flexibility, access without penalties. Fifth, income-producing assets, REITs, dividend stocks, Airbnb rental, income now and growth over time. That is the late starter's strategy. Sandra's actual numbers, month by month. Age, 43. Starting point, $4,200 retirement account / $26,000 high-interest debt. Months 1 to 18. Income amplification. Consulting income growing. Destroy high-interest debt. Capture 401k match only. Months 19 to 36. Every free dollar floods into Roth IRA, then brokerage. Consulting hits $2,800 per month. Portfolio passes $45,000. Month 37 plus. Full compounding phase. Online course launched. Passive income begins. Invests $1,400 plus per month. Portfolio explodes. Month 60. Age 48. Portfolio at $180,000. Passive income covers mortgage. She gives notice. 5 years. From $4,200 and $26,000 in debt to financially free. No inheritance, no windfall, no miracle. A blueprint, and the nerve to follow it. Before you touch a single dollar, sit down and do an honest income audit. Ask yourself 3 questions. What skills do I have that someone would pay for outside of my current job? What does my industry pay for freelance or consulting work? What would it take to add $500, $1,000 or $2,000 per month in the next 90 days? Real talk, the #1 mistake late starters make is trying to build wealth on their current income. If your current income wasn't building wealth before, it won't build it now. Spend 48 hours getting completely clear on where you actually stand. Every dollar you owe, every account you have, every subscription, every payment, every obligation, write it down, all of it. Most people over 40 have never done this. They have a vague, uncomfortable sense of their financial picture, but they have never looked directly at the full reality. Open the door. Because here's the wild thing. Once people actually do this, the reality is almost never as bad as the dread. The fear of looking is almost always worse than what's actually there. Divide your debt into 2 lists. List A, attack. Credit cards /8% plus interest. High-rate personal loans. Payday loans. Avalanche method. Destroy this list. List B, maintain. Mortgage, car loan under 6%. Student loans 4 to 5%. Minimums only. Invest the rest. Once your List A debt is gone and income has increased, automate everything. The reason most people don't invest consistently isn't laziness, it's friction. Automation removes the decision entirely. Set up automatic transfers on payday. 401k, automatic. Roth IRA, automatic. Brokerage, automatic. The money moves before you can touch it. Sandra called this her wealth machine. She set it up in one Saturday afternoon. For 5 years, she basically never had to think about it again. It just ran. This is the move that separates late starters who get rich from those who merely get stable. Every time your income goes up, resist the urge to upgrade your lifestyle. For the first 3 years, convert every income increase directly into an asset. New $500 per month from consulting to brokerage account. $3,000 bonus at work to dividend stocks. Got a raise? To that raise amount goes to your Roth IRA. This is called lifestyle delay, and it is the most powerful compressing force available to a late starter. The lifestyle you delay for 3 years, you will barely remember you wanted it. But the wealth you build in those 3 years, you will have for the rest of your life. Before we get to the final section, here are the things that a 40-plus wealth builder has that a 22-year-old absolutely does not. Advantage 1. Better decision-making. The human brain's prefrontal cortex doesn't fully mature until age 25 and continues developing through your 30s and 40s. The 22-year-old investor has a less developed decision-making brain. They will panic sell when the market drops. You, with 2 decades of absorbing uncertainty and making judgment calls, have a trained, battle-tested decision-making brain. That is worth years of compounding. The 22-year-old investor has college friends and LinkedIn connections. You have a 2-decade network of real professional relationships. Sandra reached out to 7 people she'd worked with over 20 years. 4 said yes immediately, because they trusted her. A 22-year-old cannot cold call that trust into existence. The median income for workers in their 40s is significantly higher than for workers in their 20s. You are likely at or approaching your peak earning years. That means more raw material to work with than you've ever had. Y'all, the 22-year-old doesn't know what they want. They're still figuring out who they are. You know what you value. You know how you want to live. You know what enough looks like. That clarity means you don't waste investment money chasing a vision of success that isn't even yours. You build towards something real, specific, and meaningful. When you are 43 and you sit down to build a financial plan, you are not doing an intellectual exercise. You have felt the weight of not doing it. You have lived in the gap between who you want to be and where you actually are. The desperation of a late starter who finally decides to move is not a weakness. It is rocket fuel. I want to talk directly to you for a moment, not as a viewer, not as an audience member, as a person, because I know something about you, and I know it with certainty, even though I've never met you. You are watching this video because somewhere in you a decision is forming, not fully made, not announced, maybe not even admitted to yourself yet. But something in you has already decided that the old story, the "it's too late" story, is no longer acceptable. That decision, that quiet, private, scary decision, that is the beginning of everything. The most expensive thing I ever did was spend 3 years knowing I needed to change and not changing. Because I didn't just lose 3 years of investment growth, I lost 3 years of being the person I was capable of being. Sandra. Let that sink in. The cost of waiting is not just financial. It is the compound interest on a version of yourself that never got to exist. So here is what I want you to do. Not tomorrow. Not after you think about it for a week. Right now. Write down one number, the number you need to make this real. And then, before you close this video, write down one action you will take in the next 24 hours toward that number. Not a plan, not a strategy session, not a research rabbit hole. One action. Because the late starters who win, the Sandras of the world, they don't win because they have a perfect plan. They win because they start moving before the plan is perfect. The wealth gap closes one decision at a time, and the most important one, the one that makes all the others possible, is the decision that you are no longer willing to wait. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to begin. And y'all, that beginning, that is the most powerful place on earth. Let it hit different, because it will. First, hit that subscribe button. STM Motivations. We drop new stories and strategies every single week on STM, and every video is built to give you something you can actually use. Second, share this with one person over 40 who needs to hear it. You know exactly who I'm talking about. They're already in your head. Send it. Third, and this is the most important one, go watch our video on the money relationship blueprint, why your mindset about money is keeping you poor. The link is right there on your screen. I'll see you in the next one.